did a video. We've been busy, to put it lightly. And we've been working on a lot of stuff. So we made a CNC port program for the Pro R. I spent quite a bit of time porting the cylinder head. Intake is, it's been a minute. I want to say stock is around like 240 CFM on the intake. I have the documents, I just cannot remember, but we're up around 300. I think it's like 299 on the intake. Exhaust numbers, I can't really remember the exhaust numbers, but the percentage gain was similar. So this thing obviously had a turbo on it. This is our machine. We removed the turbo, which is a sin, and made it naturally aspirated again so we can do this testing. But so it's on E85, stock injectors. Because the intercooler was in that location, we just have like a little intake coming off the throttle body. But we did dyno it before we did any modifications, just with the base tune. And this E85 tune makes about like 230, I think. So 228, 230. On this particular machine, we've had some make a little bit more, but this machine does that. And then we did just the cylinder head on stock cams. I want to say it made about, what, 245? We'll go look at it here in a second. And then we just did our first pull with a BC Stage 2 cam, and it made 251. The thing is gnarly to idle. Like, I spent probably an hour yesterday getting it to consistently idle. I think I know of some other ways to tweak it, but it is gnarly. They just act like really big cams on these things. I do want to test his Stage 1 cam and see if we get that like idle quality and that. Like really once you kind of get up into like 3,000 RPM, you can't really tell. But when you're at idle or real low RPM, it's pretty crazy. So I'm gonna pull up some dyno graphs just so you can see the comparison on that. And then while Joey's holding this camera all crazy, we did pick up a Polaris Pro XP that we're developing some stuff on. It's over there. Those machines, just to put it in comparison, I think they're underrated, and I don't know why Polaris doesn't change it, but they make like that machine stock dynoed 200 to the hubs, and we've seen it happen a couple of times where they dyno way higher than what they say. This machine at 225 dynoed like 200 to the hubs, so I can't explain why that's that way, but it is that way. And then we're working on some other cool parts for that thing. It's still just stock injector, blah, 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 but we're gonna have videos on that coming soon. We're gonna help the Pro XP market a little bit. I just think there's some areas that need more attention. But yeah, so I'm gonna pull up some graphs and then we'll show you what's going on here. So here's the baseline. We didn't really give it the best chance, I'd say, because we didn't mess with clutching that much. But stock exhaust, completely stock machine on the 85, probably should have made in that 232 range, I would say. The blue is ported head, and red is the cams. So we picked up a bunch in the middle, but the pole did start a little higher. So I'd say probably the yellow and the red are the most comparable. But the engine speed on this pole spiked about 8,600 and then it pulled down to like 84, 8,300. So you can see it's making more with quite a bit more engine speed, but once the engine speed falls down, it's making less than the factory cams. So we need to get the engine speed up much higher, I would imagine. That's what I've also heard from people, is we need to get it up around 87, 8800, if not higher. And so we're changing the primary spring because the thing idles so gnarly it engages the clutch at idle. So the primary spring is going to raise engagement and hopefully bring the engine speed up top. So yeah.
Good morning, James.
Barely changed it. It definitely raised engagement. We're going? All right, we messed with clutching. We went from 8,300 to 8,800, 8,900, and there was basically no difference. So this is where like an engine dyno where you can like control or see RPM like rise on a step would kind of help you. Instead of like playing with clutching all over the place, you can just see where you need to put the clutching, like on an engine dyno. But we raised it up quite a bit, and it does kind of act like stock. It almost kind of lost a little bit of power on the hit, but yeah, I mean it's the curves basically just cross over each other. So here's a graph showing like the stock machine when it was like brand new, when we dynoed it, made 202. And like right here at 50, roughly 50 miles an hour, made 196. With the tune, 215. With the head, 239. With cams, 241 to 245. So the cylinder head was obviously the biggest jump in power. The tune gets you halfway there, then the cylinder head gets you the rest of the way there, then the cams are a small gain at this point. So we're gonna mess with adjustable cam gears to try to move the cams around a little bit. But other than that, it's gonna be really interesting to test this cylinder head with the stock cams in a turbo kit, because we gained roughly 10%. It went from what, 220, yeah, say 8% or something like that. So if the cylinder head with the turbo on it can gain us the 8%, it'll be a significant gain at 450 horsepower. So I'm gonna get adjustable gear. We're gonna play with the intake cam a little bit. Once we get that dialed in, I think we're gonna go back to turbo with the cylinder head and then test that. But yeah, for now, that's what we got.